How do? It's been a while, Governor. So we're back on Dogging Lane. Holly, ex-prison governor. Those that are new to the channel, there's a lot of new subscribers. People haven't seen videos. Holly, there is a playlist of all the videos we've done together.
Because I've been on like a million times, haven't I?
Yes.
Yeah.
She's an ex-prison governor. She was never my governor, but she was a good governor because she cared about people. As far as management skills, I don't know. However, to be a good governor, you just need to care about people. That's both sides at door. She's a bit borderline personality disorder, maybe adult ADHD because people are getting their diagnoses changed now. She is medicated. The meds still working? Last time we spoke.
Yeah, I seem to be on the right meds now. They've actually, because I've had a problem with alcohol, they've put me on this new medication for alcohol that just stops cravings. And it is absolutely brilliant. But it stopped cravings for alcohol. It's supposed to stop cravings for food, but that ain't fucking happened.
Okay.
You want to see the size of the banoffee pie that I finished off last night.
Banoffee pie is my favourite.
Exactly. So, yeah, I've been eating way too much, but do you know what? I don't give a fuck. I'll deal with that in the new year. So. Okay.
So, yeah, so you're in a reasonable place. Obviously, it's up and down, innit?
Yeah.
Just a small mention. As a prison officer, prison governor, prison manager, Ollie, held down a job for a good while. Years.
Nearly 22 years.
Nearly 22 years. As that quite often happens with people who have these diagnoses, or not, as the case may be with a lot of people. If you have a glitch in the Force, being a Star Wars fan, if you have a glitch...
Well, that's good, because I got called Jabba the Hutt on a video the other day by a troll.
Jabba.
Not on one of yours.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's harsh, that. But you have a glitch and then you're out of the game, aren't you? That's what happens. It happens to a lot of people. It's a struggle to come back or whatever. So we're here today. As usual, I just drop things on her to talk about.
And I'm just going to drop something on you.
Okay.
Very quickly.
Yep.
Happy belated 60th birthday.
Thank you very much.
So this guy still works like a trooper, helping people, saving lives. Literally, I can't.
Don't you make me cry. Don't make me emotional.
Shut up. I'm talking now. Just quickly, this man, I'm getting emotional. This man literally saves lives on a daily basis, and I don't think people on this channel realise enough how much you do for people. And you're 60 years old and you're thriving.
Don't focus on the 60, please. Makes no difference.
But you're absolutely thriving, and I just want to say that you've changed my life from the very first. I'm welling up now. From the very first interview, you've literally changed my life.
Good. We'll have a hug then.
And then stop talking, because we're both going to get completely emotional. But I just wanted people to know that. Incidentally,
if you watch this, right, we're going to do Monday Spot, Mental Health Mondays. We're going to do a video for that, me and Ollie. She's got some ideas. Carl, who I've done an interview with, he's got some ideas. And Mondays, it's going to be for you guys to tune in, mental health problems, amongst other things. Right, you've fucking knocked me off track now. Yeah, let me just tell you now, I am buzzing today. I've just worked 6 days, 72 hours out in the cold, 8 while 8. After 3 weeks of feeling like shite, I'm going back to the gym today. Yay. I got up this morning at 6, I've had my shower, I've taken Stephen out, I've had my coffee, and I'm ready to do some interviewing.
Yeah,
right.
Man. So, what are you dropping on me today?
Nothing bad at this point. Later on there will be. So, great. Prison fitness test. Tell me about it. What do you know about it?
Right. So, when I started, we did fitness tests. However, they were not mandatory. Okay. Yep. So, later on, the fitness tests became, and it wasn't that long since so I joined the job in 1998.
Yep.
And the fitness tests became mandatory about 2 or 3 years later, but we actually went through the same fitness tests just part of our PT. So there was a very heavy emphasis on training on fitness. And my fitness did improve because they test you at the beginning of the course and they test you at the end. The running and things like that, the cardio stuff is the same for men and women, but there is a strength element to it. So being able, so if you think, for example, you need to pull someone out of a cell, okay, you need the strength to pull someone out of a cell. So there's a strength test in that respect, and then I think there's a grip strength test.
There was. I don't know whether all
Which
these
I'd
elements...
be really shit at because I've got nails. So I'm assuming you have to take your nails off.
Well, right. So some elements, there was a push-pull strength element. There was a shield hold. There was a grip test.
Yeah.
There was an agility run, which is you have a certain amount of time to run around these...
cones.
And
then bleep test.
And a bleep test.
Oh.
Bleep test, literally, you have 2 lines. You have a length of time. You start the test, so initially you'll do a couple of
slow
lengths walking, and then it gradually speeds up and you end up jogging, and the level you required is about 5.5 minutes from start to finish. A lot of people struggle with that, particularly women, even fit women. The strength elements for men, even the weak men, are a piece of piss. When I've done a fitness test, the strength elements for the women, again, physicality and all that, was borderline. But yeah, so do you believe... Go on, sorry, I interrupted.
No, go on, say what you say, because then I was...
I was going to say, do you believe there should be a requirement or a level of fitness is required to do that job?
Yes.
Why?
Because the state of how the prison service is going and how the prisoners are, the only thing I can say, this sounds horrible, in defence of women, and I have been in this position fighting with men, literally fighting with men bigger than myself, and I've managed to use the approved techniques that they've given us. Obviously, I've had other officers around me, but I have managed to, because the adrenaline kicks in, and when adrenaline kicks in, it gives you super force. And you can, you know, physically do what you need to do. But I think it's really difficult because, right, I've got this saying, you can't make a soup with one ingredient.
That's shit saying.
I think it's fucking brilliant.
You can't make a soup with one ingredient.
No, because a soup is basically water, so what you need is like a bit of tomato, a bit of carrot, a bit of onion, a bit of seasoning.
I see where you're going. I still think it's shite.
Right, okay.
But go on.
Right, so...
Can't mix. Go on.
Right, so talking about my soup, so yes, there should be an element of fitness, because the young bucks in the prison service, and I'm talking about prisoners now, they are incredibly more violent. There are more incidents. We know it's going off a lot more. However, you could have someone potentially with brilliant interpersonal skills who can...
You took my glory then.
Sorry.
I was going to say, would you rather have someone fit, athletic and tough, or someone who could talk?
Someone who could talk.
All day long.
All day long. There you go. Touch me, brother. Whatever.
Should have practiced that
Yeah, I
before.
know. We should have done...
So, do you think that the same fitness test should be applied to men and women?
Yes, but there is obviously going to be a strength disparity. So...
Well, the strength side, like I say, for me was a piece of piss. It was easy. We had train, where a lot of lasses were borderline. So, from that point of view...
But if they've passed...
No, I'm not saying that. For me, it does have to be the same fitness test. Fire brigade, you know, historically tough to get into. Fit lads, very demanding job. They lowered the standards to allow women into the fire brigade, which is wrong, because women couldn't pass the requirement.
I will say, I know a woman who went into the fire service. Yeah. Okay, she's on Instagram all the time and stuff like that, but she is powerful as fuck, and she documented her training journey to get into the fire service.
But she's not average, is she?
No, she's not average. She's like this CrossFit lunatic who can.
That's what I mean. There is exceptions. There is
exceptions.
There is women fighters who you won't want to fight.
Yeah.
You know, however, overall, you know, there is that physicality.
But you do need a mix of people, and like I said, I would take someone who can de-escalate a situation by speaking to them all day long.
Yeah, me too.
It prevents injuries. It prevents further sort of discord between staff and prisoners. There's loads of benefits, and I think. Now, I know you said that women were borderline, but I've been told that the new fitness tests are relatively easy. Like you said, there were bits that were a piece of piss. The sort of fitness tests, even though they weren't mandatory when I joined the service, were really, really difficult. And they used to make us do them. So we'd be out till 2-3 o'clock in the morning on the piss.
Yep.
And at 7 o'clock, they'd have us doing circuits and fitness tests. So,
however, you knew when you were on the piss, you'd be doing circuits at 7 o'clock.
Yeah. It sorted me out. It woke me up.
Well, there you go. So
I'm not saying I wasn't sick a few times afterwards, but
now I'm going to tell you that they have suspended fitness testing.
Oh, okay. Right. I know why that is. And I don't even... That's not even what I've been told. Because they're desperate for staff.
Correct. You can say what bullshit you want. You can say, you know, you can't afford to take staff off duty to go and do the fitness test because they're that short.
And sorry, just to interrupt, there is an element of what they were saying is you have to have your fitness test every year. Yeah. And I defy anyone who gets older and older and older. So, you know, people are working in the prison service till they're 65. I defy anyone to say a 65-year-old can pass a fitness test that a 21-year-old can do.
I'd pass it.
I probably wouldn't. I'd maybe do the strength thing because I am really strong. I'm really strong because of the yoga that I do.
So my next question is, you know, whether there's a fitness test or not, why do you need any fitness? Because people always say, you know, make haste. So when you're going to an alarm bell, make haste. Now, every alarm bell, other than some in the private sector because there was no fucking staff to turn up, every alarm bell, when I worked at Strangeways, people attend.
The cavalry come.
Yeah. Now, some of them people, a lot of people I worked alongside who've been in the job way longer than me, won't pass the fitness test. Not a chance. Nowhere near. They'd all fail. Yeah. So that requirement or using that argument falls by the way for me because there were loads of people that wouldn't have passed it that were good officers and able to do the job.
But they were having to show that they were willing to attend the incident, I think. That's the thing. When an alarm bell goes, your natural incident. But I won't deny, like, I've run the length of Liverpool prison up the 5, so you're talking like 5 landings.
Yeah.
From there all the way to the other end and up the other 5s, and I'm not joking, by the time I got there, I was useless.
Yeah, but a lot of people would be. A lot of people, even fit people would be. Because, you know, the adrenaline, it can give you strength and that, but also it can drain you.
Honestly, I got there and I was like, I'm neither use nor ornament. But I did learn to run up landings when I was a governor. I did learn to run up landings in heels.
I'm going to tell you this story. I'm going to tell you a little joke, and I'm going to tell, this is a true story, this. So the little joke first, there's an old bull and a young bull.
Okay.
Yeah, on a hillside, looking down on a field of cows. So the young bull says, let's run down there and shag some of them cows. And the old bull says, let's walk down there and shag them all.
That is a really good...
Now listen, it's better than the fucking soup bollocks that you come out with, isn't it? Now listen to this. So I'm on healthcare. There is an alarm bell
That's
on
not
E-Wing.
fair. I'm not talking.
It's Sunday afternoon, yeah?
Yeah.
There's an alarm bell on E-Wing Outer. Normal location prisoners at that time. So there's 4 of us on healthcare. 2 have been elsewhere. They've come back. It's just before we're serving evening meals. Tea time. So obviously you listen. Then, a couple of minutes later, all available outstations. Boo, your ring starts going.
That's
all
when you know the
available.
shit has gone down.
So healthcare, for you guys that don't know, to E-Wing Outer is probably 1, 2, 3, 4 gates, and at most, maybe 150 meters. But that all available outstations, boom, adrenaline's gone. You stop, you look. There's 4 of us available, 2 lasses and a lad considerably younger and fitter than me. So as we come out of the healthcare, he's off. So the old bull, slow down. So I said, slow down. You don't know what we're going into. So we jogged down, walked up the 2 flights of stairs, onto the landing. About 40 staff, 70 prisoners with pool cues and pool balls on, pool tables. All the staff stood back.
I remember
half a dozen
seeing
staff.
That, yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't there at that time, but I remember seeing the
Old
video.
bull, young bull. And then that also emphasises, or the second part I was going to ask you about, right? If it had kicked off that day, 30 of them staff would have been leaving the wing. They're not cowards, normal people, yeah? Adrenaline, fight or flight, or freeze.
Yeah.
They'd have been leaving the wing. Looking at the prisoners, yeah, so there's about 10 lads, couple of dogs, 10 lads with batons out, big lads. Myself, one of them. Maybe.
Was it? Can I just ask? Was
Yeah.
it the extendable buttons
Yeah.
at the time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's maybe 10 lads, 2 dog handlers, definitely up for it. I'm thinking maybe 20 prisoners. The other 50's having none. You know, when I rack my baton, the prisoners in front of me all took a big step. Fuck that.
Yeah.
You
There
know,
was quite a few that didn't want to get involved. Yeah.
But here's the thing, the next part, the whole thing about fitness. People have always said, well, you need a certain level of fitness. I've heard, you know, MPs talk about it. The unions talk about it at prisons. You need a level of fitness to be able to get to incidents. Yeah? What's happening right now? People are attending incidents and not getting involved. It's happening with the police. I know that. A few coppers have told me they're getting out now because it's getting fucking dangerous. They're turning up to a serious incident. They're there. They're not first response. There is cop cars and coppers over here. The incident's over there.
And no
And
one.
they're getting involved. These people aren't getting involved. It's happening in the prison service. I'll tell you after. A very good friend. Oh, you might know. Very good friend.
You've had too
Work-
much coffee today.
I've only had one. A very good friend who works at Inley, yeah, involved in an incident, 4 staff, 3 prisoners, about 12 staff looking on. Some of them having a conversation, you know, a bit of chit chat with their backs to it, pretending it weren't happening.
Considering you need for a proper control and restraint, for an approved control and restraint, you need 3 staff per prisoner.
Yep.
That's the minimum.
Yep.
To be able to restrain that prisoner and return them to the cell.
Yep.
So they were completely negligent in their duty.
People are not getting involved. I saw it at Strangeways. I don't care whether people get upset or not. My last 6 months at Strangeways, particularly the last month, I was involved in about maybe 3 or 4 incidents a week. I was turning up. I'm on end of A wing. My gate's locked. I'm seeing staff leave, go on to the Cat A unit, to the outer again. Yeah. So when my gate unlocks, I'm trolling on. All gates are open then. I'm sort of the 30th member of staff onto the wing, and I'm getting hands-on. People are not getting involved. They're not wanting to get involved. People are holding back. People, again, are pretending incidents aren't happening. That was then. The people they're employing now, you know, they're not switched on. They're not up for it.
It's weird, isn't it? Because it's like I had this innate. Right, so I'll give you an incident that happened. So I think it was when I was PO, principal officer.
Yep.
And I was down reception. Reception is where we receive prisoners that have come from court. And there was this big guy.
That wasn't a very good description. Reception is where anyone who's coming into the prison or leaving it gets processed. That's better, isn't it?
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, okay.
I was trying to praise it.
Come on.
Do you understand that word?
No. What did you say?
Praise it.
No, I have no idea what that means.
Shorten it.
I've never heard that before.
And now we've just lengthened it.
Thanks for that. Carry
Anyway.
on. Yeah, but we have people who don't understand the prison system.
Exactly, but I thought reception. Anyway, fuck all that.
Yeah, go on.
Right, so this guy comes in, yeah, and I'm not kidding, he's like 21 years old and he's 6'2" and he's a Hulk, yeah?
Yep.
He ain't a pencil. He's he had the look of a rugby player.
Yep.
Anyway, there is a line. So what happens is you have a reception officer who's interviewing them when they initially come in.
Yep.
So they check their name, they check their offence, they check what court they've come from, etc., etc. And there's a physical line on the floor that the prisoners are not supposed to cross over.
Yep.
Yeah. So he was crossing over and he kept being given warnings and kept being given warnings.
The line's there. It's about control, isn't it, really?
Yeah. There weren't many staff there because reception is an incredibly busy area. So there's people processing prisoners in other areas. There's people doing strip searches. There's people doing interviews.
So now you're lengthening it.
Right, all right. Anyway, he crossed the physical line, yeah?
Yes.
And I'm stood there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I thought, right, it's going to go off here. I can't see anyone else. I literally couldn't see anyone else around. So he went forward. He got the phone, yeah? Grabbed the reception officer by the neck and wrapped this fucking phone cord around his neck.
Wow.
Yeah. So I didn't hesitate for one fucking second. It wasn't like, shit, this man actually could beat the shit out of me. So I rugby tackled the fucker and I got him down and I got what we call a lock on and other staff, but because I was little, I had the advantage. So I held on and you can't see it on my hands, but I've got permanent ligament damage because I was not letting go of that fucker. And staff fought with him for 40 minutes and I was the only one that could get a lock on. So yeah, I can't even remember the original question now. We were talking about
getting involved.
Yeah, about getting involved. Yeah, so I'm saying like it I don't know what it is, but maybe it's because the training that we had, the camaraderie, the teamwork that we had in the prison, you know, the banter, you know, the older staff, the experienced staff that, you know, gave that new staff the feeling of safety. But I did not. I had no fear. I was just like, wow, he's going to fucking strangle him. That guy needs to go down.
You've worked with staff though that have never got involved ever.
I've worked with staff that me and another officer. She's been assaulted, so there was just me and her. We've decked the prisoner. Another staff, and I have to say it was a male member of staff. Literally, and we could see this on CCTV, and he got a warning for it. Walk up, and we're saying, help, 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 help. Get on her legs, because you need 3 officers.
Yep.
So we're on each arm. We need someone on her legs or someone on her head.
Take away the power base, don't you? If you've got someone's legs.
Yeah, exactly. They can't wriggle around.
Yeah.
Anyway, I remember his name. I'm not going to say it. He was a fucking dick. And on CCTV, and we could see this, he walked up, he looked down, and he walked away. And he didn't even press the alarm bell. And we were fucking screaming at him. Screaming. But it was the casual way. He just walked up, looked, and then walked away.
So in public sector prisons, the prisons you've worked in, obviously I only worked at Strangeways. However, there's always been plenty of staff, and there's always been a number of them staff who were willing.
Yeah.
That's how it worked.
But what if they're not on duty?
Well, that's what's happening now, isn't it? The thing is as well, you can't give people warnings now. You know, just before I left Strangeways, the officers not getting involved. They've been told, if you fear for your safety, remove yourself from that area. So there was officers remaining in sterile areas, a sterile area being where the prisoner can't get. You know, there was a number of managers, POs, senior officers tried to have people disciplined, and they were told you can't discipline them. You know,
even I, as a governor, got involved. I remember once it was on healthcare. So you'll know this.
Yep.
So this guy's in with the psychiatrist, and there were a couple of our friends, let's say, a couple of really good nurses, and this guy was being interviewed, and I was the only prison officer. I was a governor at that point. I think it's still thinking prison officer mode. I was a governor at that point. And I can't remember why I was in there. It might have been because he was a high profile offence, or he was, you know, it was me on my knees begging for him to go to Ashworth Hospital because he was clearly unwell. So anyway, as a governor, I was in this conference, and it's just the instinct, because nurses are not trained to the level that we're trained. No, they're not trained at all. No,
they stopped.
No, so I'm the only one that can do anything, and he was getting agitated. Everyone was trying to calm him down. He was getting agitated, lunged towards the psychiatrist. I just decked him to the floor. And because I thought he's going to assault him. So I just jumped up in my heels and my business suit and fucking decked him. And obviously then the nurses went and called the staff, and everyone took over and did what they had to do. But yeah, it was, the nurses were laughing about it afterwards, because they're saying, taking the piss out of this guy, because it was like, you've been decked by the governor. By had him on the floor. And yeah.
I have seen lads, it used to be, not now, I've seen lads who have been taken out by lasses when I was in the private sector because they refused to fight as well. You know, they used the private sector. I remember one lad, he was a proper, you would not want to be tackling him. The governor went, right, I've got the girls kitted up with, look, he went, come on, Gov. So he says, I'll come out, I'm not fighting them. So that was a good tactic. However, have I seen you since I went to Newcastle under Lyme College?
No, I don't think
so.
I was think you might have been going last time.
I was invited by an ex-squaddy, so I went there and give a talk to the public services course. It was well attended, very enjoyable, about an hour and a half. Some people there wanted to be prison officers. So this lad says, anyone who wants to speak to Sam after, you know, personal questions, things you want to know directly, hang on. And, you know, he'll hang around for half an hour or whatever. So it's about 20 people stopped, you know. Like I said, I enjoyed it. It went down well. In fact, he messaged me. He said, will he come back? He says the best interaction from any, you know, from the students. They loved it. So I'm going to go back next year. However, 20 people that hung around, they were all lasses. There weren't one lad. Because I said, why do you want to be a prison officer? You know, I want to help people and that. I'm not going to knock people for that. You know, best advice or whatever. And the lad I'm going to interview in the week, he's in the last 5 months did prison officer training. He found it really difficult because he said it was almost like being in school, Sam. It was embarrassing, a lot of it. There was a lot of bickering. You know, you couldn't take it serious. You were getting in trouble for having a laugh, you know, having a drink after, because people were reporting you and putting reports in and things like that.
We were all out on the piss when we did our course.
So we'll wind this one up. So the fitness test, you've spoke about it. You don't need a level of fitness to be able to do that job. You know, you need a willingness to get involved.
Yeah.
A willingness to attend incidents. And sadly, it looks like that is lacking now.
Yeah.
So.
And I don't know why.
Well, I saw the other day, when we were in the job, there was about, there or thereabouts, 34,000 officers. Bear in mind, you know, everywhere Ronnie Sarge, you could work overtime every day, couldn't you?
Yeah.
I think, I'm quite sure the figures I've just seen, there's about 22,000. Yep, 22,000, struggling to recruit, struggling to retain. And get this one, you do know, this is only the last couple of weeks, they're looking at using police cells again because prisons are full.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. We were doing that 20 years ago. 15, 20 years ago.
So that's our little video completed on that.
Can't believe you dissed my soup analogy.
Yeah, your soup was bollocks. My old bull was better. And what was that word again?
Tracy.
Yeah. Ex-prison Governor Holly. Fuck that.
And you called me a bitch.
Yeah, she's a bitch. Oh, on my video.
Yeah, you
you're
did.
my.
Yeah.
She's my bitch. I'll say they.